What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is OCD Movie Reviews. My name is Owen DeBrincat, and guys, leading up to my most anticipated film of the year, Deadpool and Wolverine, I decided to review every single X-Men movie that I haven't reviewed on this channel leading up to that movie. I am a fan of the X-Men movie franchise, and I'm really excited to dive deep into these movies. Some great ones, some bad ones, some mixed ones. All the X-Men movies that I haven't reviewed yet, except for X-Men Apocalypse, Logan, the first two Deadpool movies, and Dark Phoenix. I've already reviewed those on the channel, so I'm going to review the X-Men movies that I haven't got a chance to review yet on this channel. Let's start off with the X-Men trilogy, the original X-Men trilogy, starting off with X-Men. This movie came out in the year 2000 when I was actually born. This movie is directed by Bryan Singer, and this movie has a ton of great actors in there, from Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Hugh Jackman, Famke Janssen, Halle Bailey, James Marsden. And guys, I will talk about some moments in this movie, so yes, spoilers if you have not seen the original X-Men yet, you have been warned. But let's dive down to the history of X-Men for me. Now, this is coming from a guy that hasn't grown up with the X-Men cartoons, so I'm not going to compare this movie to the cartoon series. It does have one of the most iconic theme songs in superhero history, but I've only seen a couple of episodes, to be honest, and no, I have not seen X-Men 97, heard great things about that. Boo! You stink! So this is just coming from the guy that is a fan of the X-Men movies. X-Men, when this movie came out, it was huge, because this was actually the first Marvel film, really. Like, yeah, technically Blade is the first Marvel film, but this is definitely the first Marvel film that became huge. Like, everyone is thinking after watching this film going, yes, this could be a thing. We can get a long line of Marvel superhero films and make them with a cohesive story and make them great. If we haven't got this movie, we haven't got the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. We haven't even got the entire MCU in general without X-Men, in my opinion. We haven't got Iron Man, basically, and right now we got, like, superheroes like Ant-Man and stuff. X-Men is the Marvel film that basically brings the revolution of making superhero movies from Marvel. It's a rise up from Marvel because at first DC is taking over with, of course, the original Superman and Tim Burton's Batman, but of course after that with Batman and Robin and stuff, everyone's just feeling low in faithful superhero movies until Blade came out, and the first X-Men, where it rises to population of, yes, superhero movies we get very, very pumped for. I'm gonna be honest with you, I find the first X-Men pretty underrated in my opinion. No one talks about the first X-Men because this movie is basically a completely different superhero movie when you rewatch it these years later. When you watch every single, like, MCU film, they just felt like superhero movies. Some of them have stories, some of them have character studies, which are great. But X-Men bring that first. This is a superhero movie that's not really much of a superhero movie. It has superhero action in it, but this movie is more of a character study and a political drama with action scenes in it, and I find that so refreshing, especially all these years later. Because literally the themes of the first X-Men movie, this movie is about prejudice, about the world between humans and mutants and how humans are afraid of mutation. And I find that very interesting about this film. This is definitely a war between humans and mutants in this movie. It introduces that world that I thought it's really well done. Because you are on all of the sides here. You're on the mutant side, you're on Professor X's side, you're on Magneto's side, and even on the human sides because they all have value points here. And I thought Bryan Singer directed this movie really brilliantly, especially with the story. I was in for the story the entire movie because you definitely root for the characters, but you're also in this world where people are not wrong, and I really do like the way that X-Men was written. What is also fantastic about the first X-Men movie is the casting. This brings out one of the most iconic castings that I've seen in a superhero film. From Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier / Professor X, Ian McKellen as Eric / Magneto, those two are very iconic. These two are on opposing sides, but they all want the same thing, to basically live as mutants. Of course, Professor X wants to live in peace with humans and mutants, and of course Magneto wants war between the humans. They both want the same thing, for humans and mutants to basically bond together, but they both want different motivations, and that's what's fantastic about the chemistry between Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. Them two have an excellent chemistry in this film, and them playing those roles are fantastic, especially Patrick Stewart as Professor X, just very iconic. But of course, these movies wouldn't be as great without this particular actor right here. The actor that I think is one of the best portrayals that I have seen in a comic film, and that is of course Hugh Jackman as Logan/Wolverine. Still, all these years later, he is still playing the same character, and especially in Deadpool Wolverine, he is back, because it's hard to recast him, because Hugh Jackman is just that great in this role. This is one of my biggest childhood actors ever, because I remember my dad introduced me X-Men, and I literally was engaged with Hugh Jackman. Every single time he plays Wolverine, I just wanted to watch it. That's how fantastic Hugh Jackman is as Wolverine, especially all these years later, and the way to introduce Wolverine in this movie is great. In this bar fight scene, it is really fantastic, and the fun thing about this movie is that no one liked Hugh Jackman being cast as Wolverine. Actually, I think Russell Crowe was meant to play Wolverine. And then when we see it in the film, of course, it got big because of him. Hugh Jackman is X-Men, and he basically made X-Men that iconic. And Hugh Jackman, of course, he is fantastic in this movie as Wolverine. He has so many great moments. And just the way to introduce this character and thrilling it out all of these years later, it's just a treat, because Hugh Jackman is that great in this role, and the introduction of Wolverine is great. His story arc in this film, he wants to explore his past because he has amnesia and he doesn't remember anything, and I thought that aspect was really well done in the film. And introducing the rest of the X-Men with Wolverine is fantastic. The rest of the cast is pretty good too. Halle Berry as Storm, James Marsden as Cyclops. Even though he doesn't have as much development, I still think he is fine in the film. Famke Janssen as Jean Grey. Everyone does a great job. And the one that I don't think no one gives as much credit to is Anna Paquin as Rogue, because her character is the one you feel the most sympathy for in this story, because of course her mutation is the ability, every time she touches someone, she can't touch someone without basically vaporizing them or killing them, and you feel very bad for Anna Paquin in this film, especially in her introduction when she kissed her boyfriend, and of course her boyfriend basically is getting killed, and you feel her pain. You feel very sorry for her, and that's why this whole plot of mutation can be dangerous, it is right in the film. There are times where mutation can actually suck once in a while, and that is of course with Anna Paquin as Rogue. Her powers basically suck in this film. I would say the visual effects in the first X-Men still hold up, like seeing Wolverine's claws, it looks very badass. Storm abilities is really good in the film. Like, some of the CGI does not hold up, but don't forget, this film came out in 2000. While ago, where visual effects is starting to kind of rise up again, but for its time, I thought the visual effects looked pretty good. The action scenes, even though this is not as action-packed, say, as most comic book films, this is more of a political drama and character study. There are action scenes in this movie that are great, like the whole third act with Storm, Jean Grey, and Cyclops versing Toad. That's a fun scene. Wolverine versus Mystique. What a badass scene. And yes, Mystique is also really badass in the film, and the fight scene between Wolverine and Mystique is a really fun, cheesy scene, but it still holds up for me. Wolverine versus Sabretooth is also a really fun scene. The action is filmed very, very well, because you get both of the sides here. You get Charles Xavier's side, you get Magneto's side, so it makes a very interesting dynamic within the action scenes. Again, Bryan Singer directed these action scenes extremely well, and I just love the world building that the first X-Men gave us. It gives us curiosity what's going to happen next in the series, because of course this is an introduction and how the story basically comes upon with the other movies. And Bryan Singer literally introduces the entire X-Men very, very well in this film. It's definitely well directed, definitely well shot. There are so many great moments in the first X-Men movie, so overall, X-Men is definitely a really good introduction to this series, and I think this is definitely a pretty underrated comic book film. I don't think no one talks about the first X-Men as much. We do have X2, which is definitely a bright example of what a sequel should be, but in my opinion, the first X-Men definitely brings a great introduction to the characters, great world building of humans and mutants. It definitely builds up the tension very, very well.
I've never seen anything like this before.
We are the future, Charles, not them. They no longer matter.
Hold on to something.
don't give up on them. Mankind has evolved, not anymore.
Guys, thank you guys so much for watching my review for the first X-Men movie. Of course, my review for X2 X-Men United is coming soon, so look forward to that. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy my X-Men reviews. I cannot wait to talk about these movies. And of course, with the first one, it get me more excited to talk about the others. So guys, let me know what you think of the first X-Men movie. Do you like the movie, hate the movie, or your thoughts, okay? Just let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below. Keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel notified for my latest movie reviews and other movie related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day.